Hey guys, it is Lacey from the Content Direction Agency, and this is your weekly content debrief, 15 minutes of actionable information to help you get your content marketing working for your business. So hands up if you got like 8 emails from me yesterday about this Facebook Live. I totally want to apologize for that because just real briefly, what happened was we've been moving from Infusionsoft over to ActiveCampaign, and the looping function that tells the little Facebook Live to go, hey Corey, nice to see you, got overly looped. So apologies for that. That was just tech gremlins. I'm not going live 8 times today. This is it, and it's late, so life happens. I was working with a great client, so I can't be too bad. I can't be too upset about it. If you are here watching live with me on Facebook or on Instagram, please say hello, give me a like or a wave. If you're watching on the replay anywhere, please give me a like or a wave as well, because it helps the algorithm know that you like the content and that you are interested in seeing more of what I do and getting it shown to more people. So it's super helpful to me. What I wanted to talk about this week is making your content fun again. This was brought up to me in a mastermind I'm in, and I, honest to God, had never really thought about it that hard, but I posted a little question yesterday on Facebook, like, what would it mean for your business if producing content was fun again? And when I got to thinking about it, what I really wanted to say with that is, like, we get so tied up in our underwear about like getting strategic about things, right? We get so tied up in like, well, I need to make sure this blog post goes with this Instagram post, goes with this email, and make sure I'm driving traffic to this and blah, 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 blah. And sometimes it actually sucks all the joy out of it, right? When we get way too strategic, it sucks the joy out of creating. And that can be incredibly detrimental to your message. And not only that, but to how you feel about your business and how you feel about talking about your business. Something that I feel like I have talked about before, but maybe not hit on as hard as I should or could have, is that people can tell. Like, when you're not invested in your own content, when you're not having a good time, when you're not engaged and interested in what you're talking about, people can tell. They might not be able to put their finger on it and say exactly like, well, I could tell she wasn't very engaged with that topic. But you're going to see it. You're going to see it in a diminishment of like likes and comments and shares and whatever metrics you're using to validate your content and say, yes, this was good, or no, it wasn't. When you're not into it, when you're not having a good time, when you're not pumped about the content you're sharing, people can tell. So I'm just really interested to know, if you're watching this, I would love for you to share with me, and this is kind of a vulnerable ask, so, whatever, but if you feel up to it, what would it mean to you and to your business if producing your content was fun again? If producing your content didn't feel like work, if it felt like something that you just got to do and it was exciting, and you were excited when your next blog post went out, you were excited to do your next video or your next podcast, what would it mean to your business if that was like a new mindset, a shift in how you were approaching things? I think a lot of times we get so caught up in making sure that every piece is strategic, making sure that every piece is written to the right ideal customer, that it's talking about the right thing, that it has the right call to action, et cetera, that we lose some of the spontaneity, we lose some of the inspiration, we lose some of the vulnerability, and we lose a lot of the joy. Because God knows that producing content every week is not necessarily the most fun job in the world for everybody, especially if that's not your zone of genius. If writing is not where you feel like you excel and you're trying to force out a blog post every week, that can be like pulling teeth. Like, that is torture. But what if we could change it? What if we could change the whole feeling around it so that all of a sudden you were having fun making content again? You were having a conversation. This client I was just working with, he said something really smart. He said, conversations are what convert. And he's not wrong. He's right on the money. Conversations are what convert. And so if we are not having genuine, realistic conversations with people through our content, whatever your channel might be, it's not going to work. We can get as strategic as we want. People are going to be able to tell that it's not authentic, that you're not having a good time, etc., etc. So, I mean, how do we do that? How do we bring some of the joy back into it? I think that, we have to consider what brings us joy. What brings you joy? And I'm not going to lie, like for a lot of us modern people, especially women, we don't know the answer to that question. Corey says it would make it a lot easier to show up, and I would likely post more whenever I was inspired than when it's ready. Right. Totally. Because Corey, P.S., it's never ready, right? I mean, sometimes it's ready, but it's never perfect. It's never the right time. It's never exactly right? We know those things. I think that there is like a happy medium between posting only when you're inspired and posting regularly, like posting all the time, even when you're not inspired, right? And there are ways to get creatively engaged to build up those inspiration muscles so that we can have it both ways. We can have our cake and eat it too, right? We can do the planning and be inspired at the same time. I think too, we have to ask ourselves, how am I engaging? What kind of content am I creating? And is it still fun for me? Like, a lot of my clients come to me and they're kind of asking for permission not to blog anymore because they don't like it. And I always think that's really funny because it's like, I'm not the permission giver. It's no skin off my nose. If you don't want to blog, like, hey, no big deal. But we do have to find a way to continue that conversation with your prospective clients, because otherwise, how the heck are you going to get your message out there and make any sales, right? You're always having a conversation somewhere, or you're not going to make any sales. It's either through advertising, or it's through a blog, or it's through email, or it's through Twitter, or it's through a podcast or video like this one. But you're having a conversation. So we have to ask ourselves, what is fun for me right now? And what's fun for you right now may not be fun for you in 6 months, and it may not be what was fun for you 6 months ago, and that's okay. Like, we can shift things up. We don't have to be tied to the same channels, the same methods of delivery all the time. I think one of the most inspiring people who does this is Adrienne Dorison. She is not tied down to anything. And I mean that in the best possible way. Like, she's actually even had like pop-up podcasts where she'll record a podcast, whatever, 6, 8, 10 episodes of a podcast, and it only exists for a limited period of time. To me, that's incredibly innovative, right? She does it while it's fun. She does it to serve a particular purpose, and then she's done. That's awesome. I think that's really cool. That's really innovative. I think that there's strategy behind it too. But what we're seeing there is that she's doing what's fresh and what's fun and what's relevant for her at that point in her business. So I guess the thought I just want to leave you with today is to ask, A, what would it mean to bring the fun back? Would it mean you're more likely to post like Corey? Would it mean that, your posts resonate more? Would it mean that you tell more personal stories, or show more of your life, or maybe less? I don't know. Like, that's totally up to you. And once you kind of say, like, what would that shift in you? Would you be less resentful? I mean, let's call a duck, right? If you're feeling resentful towards your content, if you're feeling resentful that you have to write this blog post, whatever it is, people are going to be able to tell. They will feel that energetically, whether you spell it out or not, right? So would you feel less resentful towards your content? Would you feel more compelled to have those conversations? Would things become easier? Would things feel looser and freer if you were having more fun with your content? I feel like it's just, we have to ask ourselves, if it's not fun anymore, how come? What makes it feel not fun? Is it too structured? Is it not structured enough? Is it feeling too salesy? Is it not salesy? Yes. Having fun makes everything work better, right? It's like the grease. It greases all the wheels to make everything work better. Because believe you me, even if you have a good strategy, if we can figure out how to make it fun, the strategy is going to work better. Period. It just is. So I think that then the second thing is, once you're thinking about like, how can I, what would it do if I was having more fun? Then how can I have more fun? What would that look like? Maybe it's switching up formats, switching channels, having different types of conversations, talking about different things. I think Tara McMullen is a really great example of this. She is like the queen of taking something that's going on in her personal life and shifting it to be about business. So she has recently, like within the last year or so, become an avid rock climbing wall person. I don't know if that's really what you call it. Can you tell I'm not a climbing wall person? Anyway, she talks about like overcoming these challenges and problems on the rock climbing wall and then relates it back to business. And I'm always like, that was genius. Like the fact that she could pivot that to business was genius. But maybe that's it. Like maybe it's bringing in some other passion of yours and making it a part of your conversation and making it a part of your content that would make it more fun. Maybe it's going live from your phone while you're walking in the park. Maybe it's not going live anymore because that's feeling heavy all of a sudden. So what would make it fun? And this applies to everything, not just your weekly blog post or your weekly email, but also like launches. What would make your launch fun? I feel like there's, I have one client who is talking about doing a launch in the fall, and she's just not feeling it. Like nothing that's like a traditional launch is feeling good for her. It's all feeling hard and forced and unpleasant. And so I really hope I can encourage her to try to find the fun. Where's the fun in that? What can we do that's different? What feels good? A different client, I got all these different client stories in my head right now, but a different client was talking about running a challenge. And we were saying what are some best practices around challenges? And I said, like giving prizes is a good best practice. Does that feel fun? Like, does it feel good to play Oprah and be like, you get a prize and you get a prize and you get a prize, right? Nicole says, I'm all about a loving launch. Yes, like, amen. I know, Nicole, you're like sort of trying to figure out what that looks like for you. And I just lean into it. Like, what does that look like for you? It's going to be okay if it doesn't look like it's what everybody else is doing. It really is, because people are going to feel that energy regardless of whether you have 3 videos on a squeeze page or a webinar or whatever it might be, right? I feel like I'm doing this launch in July in the summer, and I'm like, how can I make this fun? Because I'm kind of bored with the traditional like webinar to an email sequence to a blah, 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 right? It might work. Who cares? It might make me money, those things, but I'm kind of bored with it. So what can I do that's more fun? So that's really where my brain and my heart is right now with content. What's going to be fun, and how do I make it more fun, and how do I bring that pleasure and that excitement back to my content and back to the content for my clients. Now, you might be just in the back of your mind wondering like, great, Lacey, but if you're writing my content, how do I bring the joy back to it? Well, it's still, actually, I find people sometimes feel more joyful when they're working with a writer because they get to do what comes naturally, whether that's like, I'm going to brain dump a bunch of thoughts into an email and just send it off to my writer, or I'm going to get on Voxer and just talk for 5 minutes and they're going to turn it into an amazing thing. The point is they get to do something that feels more comfortable and that they can get more excited about instead of worrying, does this look like a blog post? Does it have the right call to action? Does it have the right subheadings? Because that's what we do. Like, we take that part, right? So it actually can help bring more joy back to it that way because you don't have to do the part you don't like, which might be the actual writing. Nicole says, #goals. Yes, I would love to write for you, Nicole. Absolutely. But yeah, so what would make it easier? What would make it funner? What would make it more enjoyable? What would bring the joy back to your content? And if that's something you want to brainstorm with me, leave me a comment because I would be happy to do some brainstorming right here in Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or wherever you're watching this. Let me know, like, what feels joyful for you. And if you can't quite figure out how to connect that to your business, let's chat about it, because I'm really feeling this right now. It feels joyful to me to try to figure out how to help people do that, because can I just say out loud, like, the last thing we need is another boring blog post. The last thing you need, the last thing your business needs, the last thing your audience needs is another boring blog post that doesn't have any energy behind it. So I'm hereby giving you permission to stop writing boring blog posts and start finding the joy again, because that's really what's going to convert and what's going to make you see the results from your content, is when you can find the joy and when you can find the passion and the excitement that you originally had. You started this business for a reason, right? So let's see if we can't figure that out again. Again, if you want some help with that, I am here for it. So leave me a comment, send me a private message. I'm here for it. No sales pitch. I'm just like, this is where my brain is at this week. And I hope you found this a little bit inspiring or a little bit useful. If you're at all curious about what I do and you don't know, you can go to lacyboggs.com/undercover. That's where we talk about the services we provide. And if you enjoyed this video, please like it. And if you really enjoyed it, please share it with your audience, because that's how we reach more people who are looking for ways to make their content marketing more effective. I will be back next week, same time, noon Mountain usually is where I'm at. And hopefully we won't send you 18 emails about it next week. Hopefully we got that little glitch fixed. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me live. Thanks to my Instagram peeps. So nice to see you guys. And I will catch you next week. Have a great week. I'm still like